nonprofit founders, I am telling you that you did not prepare for success. And I know you think you did because you did all the research and you figured out what it would take to start your nonprofit. And then you figured out what it would take to maintain your nonprofit and maintain compliance. But I am promising you, you did not actually plan for success. And in our heads, we're like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to get all this money. But then I want to ask you, like, what does success actually look like? And two, what happens when you get there? So I'm going to tell you a quick story. And also, by the way, hey, I'm Sharman. I'm a nonprofit consultant, and I work with organizations helping them to become community centered and to build solid foundations, specifically using branding, communications, strategic planning, and collaboration strategies. So, story time. Last year, I started growing some lemons from seeds. I was like, just trying to see if I could do it because I was like, yeah, I got this. This is cool, right? Success. I'm calling them little lemon plants because they're not trees, right? Not yet. But I have these little lemon plants. And so this year, I was like, hey, I really want to try to grow some more stuff from seed, just like really begin this journey of cultivating my green thumb and all of that jazz. So I got all the stuff I needed. I bought some grow lights because I'm in North Dakota and it's cold and I can't plant a dang thing outside. But they were telling me like 30 to 60 days. So I was like, mid to late March, I'm going to go ahead and start the seeds. Got seed trays, got all the soil, like read all the instructions after the seeds, like trying to figure out, how each one grows like optimally. And then that was it, right? Had all that information, and then the stuff started growing, and I was so super excited. But then they started outgrowing the little seed trays, and I was like, oh crap, what now? Like, what happens now? So I went out, bought like, bigger containers because I still couldn't take it outside yet. It was still cold. We were still in like the 30 and 40 degrees. And so I was like, okay, well, we just got to get bigger containers, just try to figure out what goes from there. And so I started looking at everything this morning. Everything is beautiful and lush. And I was like, I have zero clue how to actually harvest these things. I don't know when they're ready. I don't know what that looks like. I just got all excited in like doing this thing that I didn't even think about an end game. And I did the same thing when I started my original nonprofit. I work with founders every day who do the exact same thing. We jump right in. We're in that service mode. We're like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're helping. This is how we're serving. And we don't ever think about the end game, right? We don't ever really think about what success looks like. We don't ever think about when are we done. And that is something that we as organizations really need to start wrapping our minds around. So I kind of want to walk through three things. And number one is just really defining what success looks like. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to your organization? Like we, of course, can do this in numbers, like quantitatively, just finding ways to measure it. But qualitatively is also really, really important, right? So quantitatively, we're like, how many people served is the goal. How many pounds of food passed out is the goal, right? How long are we going to do this in order to achieve our objective? And then the other thing is just like not only defining success, but how do we know, when things are not working? How do we know when our community is not really engaged and they're not part of this and they're not collaborating with us and they have like no stake in what we're doing at all? Because building something that's community centered and community led and community driven is really the ultimate goal if you want to have some real programmatic success, right? And everything that you're doing should be led by your community. And so I really think like I really challenge you to start thinking about what your end game is. Like, how do we know this is successful? How do we know that we're doing the right thing? How do we know that our goals are aligned with what our community actually needs? And then the next thing is, of course, just looking back to how do we Like what happens when we've been successful. And so there's two ways that we can kind of look at this. One from an operations and systems standpoint, and then like next is just from like transitioning standpoint. So first let's just talk about that operations and systems standpoint, because again, like I say, we're thinking about everything it takes to get started. We're thinking about compliance stuff, and we're kind of forgetting about that foundation that is going to keep us all there. And when I say like operations and systems, and I'm not always just talking about like your software or your HR kind of thing, I'm literally talking about the steps that you take every single day or every single week to make things work. And is that like replicable? Can people do that without you? Is that something that is even possible? Can this organization run without you there? Are those like systems and those operations so finely ingrained in the organization that anybody could do it? And that's where you want to get right. You want to make sure the things that you do are written down. You want to think not just like the steps, but the thought processes that you take through each thing are written down. And yeah, it can get like 50 million pages long. And then we can work to simplify that a little bit and to give a little bit of wiggle room where things are able to wiggle. But it helps keeps things consistent. It helps keep your organization consistent. It helps things keeps things running and growing. And I'm not saying that systems can never evolve, like processes can never change, but the idea is that anybody can step into this role and get it done in an efficient manner. And so and that also means like bringing on the right people and making sure that we're bringing on the right board members and the right staff and the right volunteers. And I have a video from like a few months back just talking about how to bring on these right people, how to make sure your volunteers are who you need them to be. And so much of it is not only thinking about like where we're aligned with our purpose and where we're aligned with our values, but also thinking about the skill sets that they have that are able to like move and push things along and make sure people are in the right places and in the right roles. And all of that is involved in your operations and your systems. And all of that is also about how you communicate the things that you do, right? So I talk a lot about just systems, strategy, and storytelling because I fully believe that one of these things just do not exist without other. These are like the three little pillars that hold up your organization, and you need all of them, and you need all of them to be fairly strong. And we often, as human beings, are focused on one or another. But it is so important to make sure that we strengthen all three and that we have people surrounding us. If that's not our strength, that we have people surrounding us that are able to help strengthen those other pillars. And so then the last thing is just that transition thing. And again, all of this stuff works together because you need to know what it looks like when you're gone, right? And it's not even just like you stepping down, because I mean, this is like so you can take a vacation, so you can step away from this work for like half a second and not have the entire organization fall apart. Because I have been there, trust me. And like no matter how much I tried to delegate or get rid of things, people were always like coming back to me. And so that just tells me that I did not build a good system where people can understand, or not just understand, but felt comfortable just taking the lead and running with it. And so these things become really important. So not just like leadership transition and making sure the organization can survive without you, or can survive without your volunteer coordinator, or can serve without your operations coordinator or manager. It's also understanding like what happens when we have like fulfilled our purpose, and have we fulfilled our purpose? Because as much as people want to like stick around, like, is your organization something that is really needed to be around for 30, 40, like 100 plus years? Is that the purpose, or is your purpose to create change and your purpose to create impact, and a positive one? Now, is it possible that your purpose can evolve over time and that what keeps your organization alive? That's absolutely fine. if that's what the community needs. And we're not just talking about mission drift. And mission drift is just essentially where we're creeping along, like following the funding instead of actually thinking about what our community needs and what is like needed in the different time. Because it is okay to evolve with time. It is okay to recognize like, hey, this is what is needed at this moment in time, and transfer that. But at some point, like, when do we fulfill our goal? What point is our purpose done here? What point can we begin to transition out and close things down and recognize that the impact that we had is just incredible and amazing? Because it is okay to close, right? I think we live in this society where they constantly measure closing as like a failure. Like, you haven't had all these years of experience before that. It's ridiculous. It's not the way we should measure things, and it's definitely not the way we should think about nonprofit organizations. As I can't even remember exactly what the statistic is, but like, so many organizations like failing by year 5. And a lot of it is funding and different things on why people close their doors. But I think if we start thinking from the beginning that this is going to end at some point, we have better plans that can then transition us out cleanly and easily, and be like, hey, we've done the work. We've had this incredible impact, and now it's done. Now it's time to let somebody else take over, like the next iteration of whatever this looks like. So again, you have not prepared for success, because ultimately you probably don't know what success actually looks like, and you don't know what that means for your organization, and what you can do like once you get there, whether you have all your systems in place, where you have all the financial stuff in place, where you have all the people in place that you need for that success to actually drive you forward and not hold you down and not be this burden and not have people burn out and be overworked. So that's my challenge for you today, is to really start to think about what success looks like for your organization and whether or not you have the capacity to actually hold that success. So if you like what you heard, if this was really helpful, I would appreciate a like. Tell me what you found most helpful in the comments and what you want to hear more of. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that little bell so that you're notified when I have new content and new videos coming out, and I will catch you guys next time.